So what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Richard Flame. Welcome everyone to a brand new video, and yes, to all of my SAO fans, the series is finally back here on the channel. I am so far on the episodes. I think I am 6 episodes now. A new episode just came out, and now it's starting the second course of Alicization. So I need to catch up a little bit right here. So throughout each episode, I'm not like that far behind, even though that's 6 episodes, and that's still quite a bit. I'd figured that each episode I would do 2 episodes in one review and keep it going. It's not going to be like my traditional reviews, which I talk about fully about the episodes. I just want to talk about like the most important parts. So like the video is like kind of average, and it's not like a 20+ minute video here for the channel. So yes, finally back to all my SAO Alicization fans. I truly apologize for not uploading here onto this channel. But let's start off with episodes 9 and episode 10. So episode 9, we finally got back, and what we saw throughout episode 8, which a big time skip has happened. We see now that Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito are now noblemen in, the Swordsman Academy. They're kind of the top tier people, as we've seen them, kind of starting off Alicization. That was kind of their goal, to attend this academy, and now they're kind of leaders teaching new people, swordsman skills. As we've seen, kind of in the series, Kirito has always taught Yu-Gi-Oh to become a swordsman, and now Yu-Gi-Oh of course is teaching everyone else. And of course we still have Kirito being a teacher, to other, noblemen throughout the academy, which is, that's what Kirito is. He's always kind of a teacher, showing everyone new things that you could become someone else in this episode. But mostly, like, the basic part of this episode is an investigation of what is happening. We get these crappy, nobles, the assholes, you could say, the ones that, destroyed Kirito's, garden, the one that he was making to Lena, the one that she was about to graduate, these certain types of flowers, those kind of assholes. We see them here yet again, that one of them, Humbert, actually battles against Yu-Gi-Oh, and to these nobles, just think between Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito that they're just commoners, they're a nobody. These guys are a lot tougher than they are, which we actually get a cool fighting scene throughout this episode, that Yu-Gi-Oh has really grown as a swordsman. We see him fully developed throughout episode 1 till now, that these nobles, these superiors, you could look at it, have taught their sword skills each and every single day. So they don't think that commoners like Yu-Gi-Oh will have this power or to even defeat them. But we've seen throughout Yu-Gi-Oh that just a little bit of training, that he could actually send a full-on draw. Like, he was about to win against these, but of course the fight came to a stop, and that was that right there. So it's cool seeing Yu-Gi-Oh's development grow more and more and more as a swordsman throughout this series, and to actually stand up between one of these nobles here at the academy. That turned out really bad, since these nobles, they have a really short temper, and we even see Humbert, in this episode, that he has a serious problem between, the people. And what I mean by that is, since they're kind of leaders now throughout the academy, they're going to be teaching, of course, new people that come into the academy. And there's a rumor going around now that he is actually assaulting one of the girls throughout the academy. This is a big thing towards everyone, because number one, this violates the taboo index and the school rules. And of course this really irritates Yu-Gi-Oh a lot throughout the show, just because you gotta follow the taboo index. This is a world where stuff like this cannot happen. It's like a peace world. If you do something like this, you could be in a lot of trouble. So Yu-Gi-Oh really wants to investigate this and show that this guy is a terrible person. We even see Tessie in this episode. I do believe that's what her name is called. She's the one that has a full-on crush on Yu-Gi-Oh. You can tell 100%. This is one of the new students that Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito are teaching. She's new to the academy. We get her background story, that she was a little bit of a noble, came to the Swordsman Academy. We get, of course, a little bit of a background as well towards the end of the episode, that she's part of this little bit of a noble family, that after she graduates, she's forced to marry someone completely out of nowhere. Like, that's what nobles are throughout this world, kind of the rich people. When you look at it, that if you're a female, you got to marry a strong individual, even though he could turn out to be a complete asshole. So she's kind of scared at this sense as well, because when she's friend is getting abused by Humbert in this episode, she's scared that she doesn't want somebody like that. And we could tell throughout this development that she has a huge crush on Yu-Gi-Oh, and she wants a man like him. She trusts Yu-Gi-Oh 100% and wants safety throughout her whole entire life. And even Kito in this episode says as well that even though this taboo index, like this in this world, is all, great and all, you should always be your own person and find your own justice. Even though it could be a wrong thing, if you find it the right path to go towards, that's what you should follow. That's what mostly episode 9 of Sword Online Alicization is. It's something, of course, a build up to something really big that's going to be happening throughout episode 10 here of Sword Online Alicization. But it was a pretty steady of an episode, mostly just focusing on, these nobles. We see them again, terrible people, talking about crap to Yu-Gi-Oh! Big investigation going on, that there's something that they're doing something terrible that is not following the taboo index, and of course it's just an investigation to bring them down, and that's mostly what episode 9 was up to cover. So now we jump into episode 10 of Sword Online Alicization, and watching this episode I am just shocked that they actually did this in SEO. But we've seen content like this before in this series. First part when you start watching this episode was we actually get a viewer discretion is advised. This may not be suitable for other people that want to watch SAO, but if you're an SAO fan, you know that we've seen content like this before of what Rayos and Humbert were trying to do to Kito and Yu-Gi-Oh's students. For example, like at the second course of season 1 of SAO, of course we had Asuna, trapped in Ironclad, of Kito trying to save her, but of course that guy that was, kind of partners or knew Asuna's father wanted Asuna for himself, but of course Kito stopped him in his tracks. At the end of Gun Gale Online, the first part of season 2, the friend of Sinon's, the one that wanted to become a doctor, his brother was Death Gun, actually trying to kill people in the game and trying to resurrect that curse here yet again. Of course, Sinon and Kito defeat him. So now we get that throughout season 3 now here of SAO. But definitely it was a lot more graphic, and you could definitely tell of what was actually going down throughout the episode. Now with this though, I really liked Yu-Gi-Oh's development throughout this, and I like it that he's getting so much development throughout the season, even though it's been like that every single episode, and we've got that throughout SAO in general, which if it was one character that was with Kito, we get their kind of backstory, we get the development of why we should actually like him or hate him. Yu-Gi-Oh is a lot different from the other characters, and I like this a lot just because SAO is a series we've always focused on Kito, his story, his track, and everything like that. But with Yu-Gi-Oh, I like this so much better that they're putting a lot of character development and story within him, because we all know throughout the world of the underworld that everyone here is an AI except for Kito. Kito is like the only human being throughout this world in general, and we all know about the taboo index and their strict system and everything like that. Well, that really changed in this episode just because of the nobles of Rayos and Humbert, that they are nobles. They're the rich people and they have the most power, as we could see in this world. If you're a noble, if you're someone that is part of a wealthy family, you could have the power and you don't really need to follow the taboo index. The stuff that they're trying to do to other students that we've actually seen in the previous episode, episode 9 of SEO, that kind of rumor going around that Yu-Gi-Oh was investigating, they were doing this kind of stuff, and usually if you do this kind of stuff, that's definitely, a criminal record, and that you could even be killed from it. Just like, for example, Alice, she just touched a finger, in the dark side world, and if you do that, you're breaking the taboo index. But with them, on the other hand, they could do this kind of stuff and not be punished at all, as we could see. And we could tell from the taboo index that this system is not safe at all, and is definitely could be corrupted. And even, Yu-Gi-Oh, when he tried to stop Rayos from trying to harm, his student, Yu-Gi-Oh couldn't do anything. He was stopped right there because he is a commoner, and as a commoner, if you do something like this or try to stop a noble, you could be punished and become a criminal for it. So I really like this development from Yu-Gi-Oh because he took it a step further and didn't even care. As we saw from last episode, Kito is telling the students and telling Yu-Gi-Oh that sometimes in this world, and even the law, for example, if you believe that something is wrong, fight for it, find your own justice and try to do the right thing. And that's exactly what Yu-Gi-Oh did in this episode. His students were at harm between Rayos and Humbert, trying to hurt them, and Yu-Gi-Oh, you're even risking his life at this point. He did not care. As we could tell, that eye, his right eye was doing that system error, just like he tried to interfere with the knight that took Alice in episode 1. But within this episode, he didn't care if he died. He wanted to save his students. Like, he wanted to go and kill Rayos and Humbert for what they were doing. So I like this part of Yu-Gi-Oh's development because he's actually turning human just a bit. And we see that as a huge development throughout the series, because in the underworld, everyone's an AI, and Yu-Gi-Oh's taking that a step further and making his own rule. I like it because, Kito is trying to change that throughout this world, and Yu-Gi-Oh is right behind that. He wants to do the right thing. This is what the rules should be. So I like that, but also the gore in this episode as well took that a step further as well. I was just shocked between SEO because we haven't really seen anything like this throughout this series. Like I said before at the start of this episode 10 right here, this review, that we've seen a little bit of stuff like this here or there happen, but not like so much detail put into it. And it was actually, I was just surprised about SEO and how they did that. Now the other part I could say in this episode, of course, is Kito's development a lot further. We know from his character that he treats AIs like humans as well, like they are human beings. So even though that Rayos is a terrible person and what he did in this episode, when he was fighting against Kito didn't want to try to kill him. He thought that he was like a human being, and that if he could defeat him, in a fight or anything like that, that he can come to his senses and be a greater person. But Kito just went right for it, and we could even tell from the shock in his face that when Rayos was literally dying, that Kito was sad. Even though that he was a terrible human being or an AI, Kito still had those feelings, and that he is kind of like overcoming it just a little bit, but you could tell that really affected him and as his state in this episode. So it was really cool of what happened. It definitely was hands down like a top 3 episode of Alicization so far. Like I said, it was a little bit disturbing. If you guys are going to watch this episode, I would just say be careful. I can't really talk a lot about this episode due to YouTube's system and rule, of course, throughout the community here. But this episode though was definitely great, and I cannot wait for more. And it was not even a worry thing about Yu-Gi-Oh as well, just because when his eye was gone in this episode, I thought it would just be gone in general. It got healed up at the ending of this episode, and also we see Alice not dead. She became a knight, an entirely knight, and that questions everyone throughout the community and it's like the future of SEO, because if you break a system, from the Taboo index, that's basically you having a death penalty, and that's what we thought Alice was. She was, taken to her death as we thought in episode 1, but she became a knight. So that questions, if you break the Taboo index, their kind of record, does that mean that you become a knight, or what's the story behind all that? So of course we're going to learn more about that throughout episode 11, 12, 13, 14, that are about. I'm so far behind with SEO so far, but yeah, this was a great episode. I'm glad to finally be back on SEO. Like I said, I do apologize again to everyone that followed SEO here on this channel, but I'm back right now. I'm going to try to get caught up. I know this new episode that just came out is really hyped. I believe it's like episode 14, so I'm going to try to catch up as best I can. But thank you guys all for watching my episode 9 and episode 10 review here today. Comment down below how you guys thought about these episodes. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't, and of course like the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys in the episode 11 and episode 12 review for SEO here very soon on the channel. Much love everyone, and as always, have yourselves a wonderful day.